Right, this is a quick how-to video on how to use the level editor, the integrated level editor in Duke Nukem. The level editor is integrated into the game, so you first start a new game. Now to get to the level editor, we just press F5, and to get out of the integrated level editor again, we just press escape. So you press F5, escape. Now it's basically going to be editing the current level, so if you want to edit the second level onwards, we have to just use the cheat to get to. So if you want to edit the second level, you have to use the cheat to move to the second level. So the cheat is to hold in the up key, hold in the up and press L for level, press up, level, up and L, up and L, and that advances us to the next level. So now if we press F5, we're editing the next level, level 2. You can see in the bottom left there it says level 2.11. That's the file name. We can press escape. The integrated sprite editor is F4, so we use F4, but you seldom use that. Normally just use the level editor. Now the level editor consists of, right, there's a minimap in the top left that displays a kind of overview of the whole map. And we can use the arrow keys to move this viewport, this edit viewport. We're using arrow keys to move around the edit viewport. So if I press right, then this viewport scrolls. In this viewport displays an editable view of the level in a 1:1 pixel view, more or less as it looks in the game, except a few things don't look exactly, the way you place them, they look slightly different in the editor. Right, then over here we have a list of we have the sprite sets, here we have the tool where we select which sprites we're going to place, or which objects. By default it shows sprite set 0, and we can scroll through the sprite sets by, over here, by what we're going to select by, I'm using M and N, M for next sprite set and N for previous sprite set. So M goes through, toggles the sprite set selection, and if you go backwards it just scrolls, comes in the other side. Okay, so we can now important to understand, very important, the map itself consists of two layers of blocks, a foreground layer and a background layer. Certain types of objects we usually only place in the foreground, certain types of objects we generally only place in the background, and certain types of objects it doesn't matter whether you put them in the foreground or the background. But you'll get a feel for which is which. But we can use this. You see here it says foreground. That means we're busy, that if we edit now, if we place something with a mouse, if I select the sprite and place it with a mouse, it's going to place in the foreground layer. One of the important things, the difference between the foreground and the background layer. If I place one of these in the background layer, the transparency isn't going to work correctly. So I've placed now, I've toggled to the background layer and I've placed one of these cameras. You see I placed two in the foreground and one in the background. And if I save this level and start, you'll see that the two of them look correct, and the third one I've placed does not. You can't have that background block behind it as you want. So obviously things with a transparency like that should go in the foreground layer. Okay, right, we just pressed, what happened there? Oh yeah, I made changes. If you make changes, place security cameras, you see that it says unsaved changes. You press F1 to save. F1 saves your changes, and you press escape and it restarts the level. with your changes. You must press F. If you don't press F1, you're going to lose your changes. Very important. Doesn't even ask, are you sure? If there's unsaved changes, you're going to lose them. Okay. So it's actually, oh yeah, that's these two special sprites indicate this must be usually in the foreground. And this indicates the hero starting position. You should only have one of them per level. And whether you want to start facing that way or start facing that the other way, you can use that one or that one. So if we want to start facing the other way, select that, place it on top of that, overwrite that, press F1 because now we have unsaved changes, and press escape. And interesting, that didn't actually work. Anyway, okay, that's a bug. Gonna have to redo this. Okay, generally the security cameras you must place using the central sprite, yeah, the one that points down. So, okay, we use two keys, X and V, to toggle the foreground and the background layers on and off. So, by default, both the layers are visible. If we press X, so we press X a lot. X toggles us between the foreground layer and the background layer. We press X, it hides the foreground stuff so we can edit the background layer. I want to again just show a subtle difference between putting something on the foreground layer and the background layer. Generally collectibles, monsters, your starting position, teleporters, exits, all those things should usually be in the foreground layer. Things like walls and floors should generally be in the background layer. I wanted to place can't find it. Oh, the barrel. It's like a barrel. Okay. So if we place one of these, we're going to see how it looks slightly different. Okay. Place one in the background, one in the foreground. Okay, F1. Okay, there's a very subtle difference there, just about a 1 pixel difference. You can actually see it. Okay, important. You can either place here with a left mouse button. So you have a palette basically of two sprite objects. By default they're both blank. Or by default the right mouse button generates these background blocks, PG. PG lets the background image of the map show through. So we have a left and a right mouse button palette. So if I right click on a sprite, it loads that sprite into the right mouse button palette slot. So we can have two objects at any given time. So say I want to place robots and flying robots, falling robots and flying robots. I can put one in the left, allocate one to the left mouse button and this to the right mouse button. And now when I press the left mouse button, it's going to place a important in the foreground layer. And if I press the right mouse button, it's going to place a sprite there in the flying robot. If we want to let either the left mouse button or the right mouse button be clear, we go to the zeroth is zero sprite. So the zeroth sprite, the very first one, in this first sprite set, you can either right click. If I right click, it loads blank into the right click option there. So then I can use that as like a eraser. So if I want to erase that object or erase that object, then I erase these objects and I can do that. Okay. And I can do that also with the left. So I can just either the left or the right button. Yeah. Important, the left and the right have nothing to do with whether you're in the foreground or the background. Both. If you're in the foreground layer, left and right buttons edit the foreground layer. If you're in the background layer, left and right button both edit the background layer. One or two things here. Right, level statistics, Ctrl+F6. This is just shows you a count of how much of each thing is in the level. Okay, you can page up, page down, or press escape. That's the level statistics. And important, this is also very useful for testing. We can hold an Alt and Control at the same time. If we do that, we can click somewhere and it'll drop us right there in the map. So if I want to start there in the map, just for testing, I want to override the arrow position and test the map from this position. So I can drop myself there, boom, and it drops us there and we start playing. That you're going to use all the time. Control, Alt, and mouse click to drop the arrow into a certain spot in the game. Okay, F5, we're going to get back into the level editor. So that, if you want to test these conveyor belts, for example, then boom, Control, Alt, click. And one or two things, I'm not sure what move to does. There's also some macros you'll see in the bottom here. This is a bit advanced, you don't need to use this, but there's a few just helper macros. Like some of the things are a pain because you have to place, like the crates, you generally have to place 4 blocks, one at a time. But this macros here, some predefined macros where you just press, you hold the flower with the mouse here and you just press 1, push a crate, or you press 2 here to crate with the word up on it, or 3 crate with a number on it, F1 to save, and boom, we drop us there. So those are just macros, just helpers to help you. And then there's also F for fill, and again that applies to the foreground or the background layer. We can use fill to place a whole lot of something horizontally. So if we want to fill in some more earth over here, we can select that earth sprite, go to the background layer, and you press F, F, F. It does a horizontal fill. Just makes it easier to fill in something like that. Okay, press X to put the foreground layer back on. Right, now the few special things, like the keys and the doors. Right, so these are the keys. Boom. You generally place those in the foreground layer. Okay. So the hero has to collect the key and he has to bring it to the corresponding colored this. So lock the door. So if you want to make a door, but we already have a blue door in this level, you shouldn't have more than one. But you will have this. This is the slot to put the key in. So somewhere you'll have the key for the hero, boom, and then somewhere a little bit further away you'll have this thing, and then the door, and you must place the blue door from that first. It's usually a good idea to place it close enough that when you activate it, so here goes collect, and I can't get through. Okay, stands there, press up, activate. And it's generally a good idea that the doors are visible on the same screen, so that the user sees the doors opening. Just provide some visual feedback that something has happened. Now there's a special type of door that you need the access card for, and the access card lives in this box. You can place it separately, but don't usually. It's convention to have it in the box. Yeah, these items here, these pickups, all of these ones are the boxes. Like that is lets you place say a balloon in a box, and that lets you place a flag in a box, and that lets you place an apple in a box, and that lets you place the bomb in the box, and the banana in the box, and so on. Right. So basically those are the boxes you shoot and you see what's in them. Okay. The access card is an inventory item, like the keys. And if you go to sprite set number 5, its door is this one, This is an access card spot, and this is access card door. Okay, and then we wouldn't do that. It's only just something like that, right? Let's see, now I drop the area. Boom. Okay. So you can't get through until he brings the access card, yeah. There's a cheat key, by the way, if you're testing. Backspace, page down, gives you all 4 keys and the access card. So yeah, I just used the cheat. Okay. Finally, this ugly this sprite needs to be fixed. That's the power boots. Normally there's only one power boots in the whole game, because once you got the power boots you can jump higher, and that affects how you plan the level, as far as like all levels, all level data, all level map, all map area after you've gotten the power boots can assume you can jump one full block higher than before, but you need to have a sort of you need to know where it is within the game. Like if there's 10 levels and it's on level 3 or 4, then you must, you know, all the map area before level 3, before you get the power boots, assumes, you know, this hard jump, and all the map area after can assume you can jump higher. We have a few other specials. These are little spikes that if you stand on, you get hurt. These are teleporters. So if we place, and they're numbered, you can have up to 4 pairs of teleporters. So it's teleporter 0. Place it in the foreground layer. Okay, always place 2 of that same number. Let's make it teleport 3 because I'm not sure if they are already in this step. So 2 teleporter 3s. Yeah, or let's put the one there. Okay. Yeah, and drop the euro, yeah. So that teleporter 3 is linked to other teleporter 3 that I just created. I press up, takes us to the corresponding teleporter 3. Boom. Oh, there's another teleporter 3. Oh no, that's the same one. Is that the same one? I think there's more than teleporter 3. Oh no, it's the same one, yeah. So it's teleporter 3. There must always be one exit. The exit block looks like that. It says exit when you place it, but when you actually that was weird. I don't know why it said food. There's a food box. That's cool. Oh, that's exit. That's an exit in a box. How weird. I forgot about that. Okay, so that's the exit, and if Duke Nukem finds that, he finishes the level. Okay, now we're on the next level. So if we want to go back to editing that level, we have to restart a new game, jump forward to it. Okay, cameras. Some of the objects you'll notice you have to be careful, like the conveyor. Most of them you generally have to place. If there's 4 in a row, that's because of the animation of the conveyor belt. You usually must use the first one only, as a rule of thumb. Like these animated arrows that show you where to go. Use the first of the 4. These fiery things, you use that one or that one to place. And they just basically spit fire at a regular basis. So if you put one of those there, one of those there, and you say that you're basically they're on a timer. I think it's those. Why aren't they working? That one's working. Let me just. Oh, we have to place both. That's the thing you must place. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, some of this, my memory is a bit rusty. The balloon you don't generally place on its own. You get it from shooting the box. These are just animated background objects, just for decoration and to make the, you know, the scenery interesting. These are fans. These are active fans that blow the hero around. You have to shoot them to disable them, so you stop being blown around, so you can get past them. And this is just background. These are just background fans, animated fans. So this, for example, I can go in the background here. There's one of those, one of those, one of those, and okay, I didn't put them correctly. Let's try that again. Like that. I must really make a macro for this one, so it's easier to place the damn thing. So that's just background scenery again, just to make the scenery more interesting. That you don't use, that's internal sprite for the arrow. That's also internal. These are all internal except for the access card. These are crawly monsters, so you can place them like so. Oopsie, you should place them in the foreground. Oopsie. These are vertical crawling monsters, right? So generally going, there's 4 for the animation, but you place using the first of the 4. And this fire monster I place also using the first of the 4 and the mouth, one at the bottom face on. So like, yeah. And then you can't shoot. That's how you roll. Okay. And this is 8, but you only place it using the first. You never use that one, even if you want it to face the other way. Okay, that's basically it. You know, things like these shadows under there are manually added. You know, that block there as a sort of finishing touch. It's going to be able to make it nicer. The blank, so like that's the normal default blank, and that one is just a shadow under it. Those have been manually placed. Normally in the background. Yeah, that's about it. The one last thing that's a bit advanced you need to do this is how to create a new level or a new mission. That we basically have to do, if you go into the data folder, there's a text file called default.game. That has a list of levels. Okay, so if we open this in a text editor, let's say I want to create a new level. I'm going to take the example level, levels, say the example one, and I'm going to copy it in a file manager, like total command or whatever. My new level, okay. My new level, put your name, you know, this is comma separated values. That's the file name. Obviously this is in the order of the levels. That's the file name. It's pretty straightforward. That is a background image that you can use for the they aren't really populated yet, but you can go scrolling the background image that sits on the background, like a city or whatever. Level. So start new game now. I go up. I think we have to actually exit and run it again because I think it only loads up once. Next, up arrow, up arrow, up arrow, up arrow. This is our new level. Right. And David's level. Okay, that's not solid. Right, used the example. This is an example. I just used as a template. Example.lev. Example.lev is just a level that tries to sort of have a little bit of everything, just to show you also, how to do various things like place these or. So that's creating a new level. You can create entire new games with their own sprite sets. That's sort of more advanced. And then let's topic for another video. Okay, so that's it really. And then